Once again, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Jatinder Singh Pabla, and I am representing STT GDC India. Uh, I think all of us agree today that it is a phase where the data center industry is growing at a significant pace. And there are some very strong reasons for that. I've just tried to collate that. Some of these are known, but some of these are very interesting when you put the numbers along with that. So, for example, the first reason because of which the data center industry is so bullish is the cloud and the hyperscalers. You know that the cloud in itself is growing at almost 33% CAGR in India. And the Indian cloud market is going to be around 5 billion market in next few years. And most of these cloud players are leveraging the colo players in India, and some of that growth also trickles down to colo growth, and that is why you'll see that, and that is one of the reasons you'll see that colo is also growing at almost 23%. So one good thing is that when people are outsourcing in India, they are choosing to outsource either to cloud or to colo. But in both cases, I think as a colo industry, we should be happy because ultimately that growth is landing on us as well. In terms of numbers, you can see that cloud is definitely growing at a much faster pace. The overall revenue size of cloud is also higher. The cloud revenue is 73% of total pie, while the colo revenue is approximately 27% of the total outsourcing pie. But both are growing at significant pace, and that is a good news for all of us. The third key driver is the entire digital transaction. So when we're talking about being a 5 trillion, or let's say even if we land up to between 4 to 5 trillion, you're talking about the digital transactions reaching up to 1 trillion by that time. So you're talking about almost 25% of transactions happening through digital channels. So that is definitely going to drive a good amount of growth on the data center industry, because this will require a good amount of transaction, good amount of application processing, and also the data storage. So this is also driving the colo growth in India. The data sovereignty regulations are getting more and more clear, as well as more and more real. The RBI notification is already in effect since 2018 October, but there are lots of other notifications which have also started taking effect. For example, data protection bill for personal data, e-commerce policy, which just got into shape a couple of weeks back, and all these regulations are pushing providers to set up their DCs in India, to set up their DRs in India. Some of those are mandating only the data to be here. Some of the regulations are mandating some part of application processing to be here. But more or less, all these regulations are pushing more and more customers to set up their base in India in terms of data center. So this is also driving a significant growth. Edge, DC, and device momentum. All of us know that this is a real story, but the numbers behind that also gives a very drastic, I would say, information. So today, the internet coverage in India is just around 30%, not more than that. You're talking about broadband, the broadband where the video and all can be used. It's just 30%, so 30% real coverage. We're talking about that coverage to reach up to 70% in another couple of years. So just think about the growth which it will bring, because more video, more e-commerce means more processing and more data storage. And 50% of that traffic is going to be video and e-commerce, and that too also from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So the internet, the reliance on video, the reliance on e-commerce and cloud and IoT spreading beyond tier 1 cities is also going to drive a good amount of momentum, and especially in the edge market. And lastly, of course, the investment. I think all of us have seen immense amount of announcements which have happened over the last 1 year. And this, of course, is driving all the growth, because once the capacity is there, it will attract more customers, and government also will get more conducive because the investment would start coming in a major chunk. So all these things, including cloud, data sovereignty, colo, outsourcing growth, digital transaction, edge momentum, investment, all these things are driving significant growth of colo market in India. Uh, so while this looks very promising, but we also need to know where do we stand today. Despite all that is happening, we are still at around 2 to 3% of world's colo market. So that is our share, and which if you just compare it to the economy of India, I think if you just take a nominal GDP, we are just around 1 to 2%. But if you take a PPP GDP, we are almost at around 10% of world economy. So that also shows that there is a huge amount of potential, but the current share is very low. It is very low, and which is projected to double in 18 months, but it is still very low. All said and done, India is at around 300 megawatt of design capacity today. There are lots of announcements, but the real capacity on the ground is 300 megawatt. We are targeting to reach 600 megawatts in 18 months, and around 1 gigawatt in 3 to 4 years. But just put it in perspective to what is happening worldwide. USA alone added half a gigawatt of capacity last year. So huge potential if you compare the industries, if you compare the population. So which all those things point to the fact that while it is just a start, but there is a huge amount of potential, and it is not the time to be complacent with all this growth which is happening. The potential is much higher. India is the second largest DC market in APAC, but China is growing at almost 4 to 5 times ahead of India. The good news is that world colocation, while it's growing at 12% CAGR, while we are growing between 20 to 25%. So, promising start, I would say, for India, but huge scope for growth, and that is why probably it is attracting so much of investment, and that is why all of us are so bullish about India. Uh, I'll just take maybe a couple of minutes to just share what we are doing, what STT GDC India is doing to ride the growth wave. Uh, so we are operating in India since 2004. We acquired a majority stake of Tata Communications data center business a couple of years back, and that is why you see us with a new name, STT GDC India. We have 16 DCs live across 8 cities with 105 megawatt, and that brings us to almost 33% market share. You can see that the data centers are located in every city in India. In fact, we are the most spread data center player in India. And there are plans, or firm plans for expanding and going up to 2x of 105 megawatt in a couple of years. And these are hard numbers. These are not projections based on some assumptions. These are hard numbers. These are projections based on the business cases which we have approved. And for some of them, the data centers are already under construction. For example, Pune, Chennai, Delhi, the data centers are already under construction, while Mumbai and Hyderabad is still to start. So we are a significant player in India and also worldwide. Now, this slide is quite interesting. One, of course, it helps me state that we are a global player. But if you can just put another lens to it, you will uh, see that how even in Asia Pacific there is a difference between what we have in India and what we have in rest of the countries. So, for example, if you see in China, we are number one with 25% market share, and the capacity is 700 megawatt. In India, we are number one with 33% market share. The capacity is 105 megawatt. In Singapore and UK, we have more than 100 megawatt, but we are in top five. So that obviously means that we are not in number one, number two. So we are present across all these countries with more than 100 data centers and 1 gigawatt of power. But also, we understand that there is a scope for huge growth in India, and this 105 megawatt has to significantly go up, and we have all the plans to do that. Uh, Quickly, I'll not spend much time on this. I just wanted to call out that it's a very financially stable company. We have been profitable since the time we are live. There is a proven delivery track record of delivering these 105 megawatt. We are closest to the customers, and there are decades of experience in terms of operational excellence, and which brings the advantage of low maintenance window to our customers. And that is also reflected in all the awards which we have won. We are co-location service provider of the year for 3 years in a row, and this award was conferred by Frost & Sullivan. And apart from that, there are multiple other awards, including ET Iconic Brand, Great Place to Work. So all put together, uh, uh, just to summarize we are leading today, and we want to lead. So we want to maintain this leadership position with 33% market share, and that will reflect in our growth plans. Uh, the bullishness and the investment is basis the fact that the DC demand is growing at more than 25%, 25% over the next couple of years. So there's a huge scope for investment and growth. And providers, including us, are reciprocating by investing in advance. And as the capacity grows, I'm sure that it will attract more and more customers also to India, and the trust into the India market will also increase, which we have started seeing. We have started seeing with all the major players. We have started seeing that more and more hyperscalers are coming and started and expanding their footprint in a major way, which was unheard a couple of years back. So very bullish about the Indian market. And I think even the government has become more conducive. We have started the entire colo industry was always maybe on the was working maybe behind the curtains, but in the recent past, I've started seeing that more and more events have started happening specific to colo industry. Government has started noticing. There are various policies like essential services which now is being conferred on data center. Governments are getting more conducive on giving lands, giving solar power access, reducing the power charges for data center players. So I think even the government has started reciprocating to all the investment which the players are making. That's all I wanted to share. I think it's a wonderful time to be in this industry, and it's also a matter of pride that we are keeping the digital infrastructure live even in current scenarios, and that should be a matter of pride for all of us. Thanks. That's all. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Pavla. It was very insightful, and it's great to understand the capabilities what TC as a service can provide. And I hope we'll have more development in this area in the coming years. It's our pleasure to have you for this session.